DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com, balloverseas.com. The question is talent enough to make it playing professional basketball overseas? Well, the answer is yes and no. I'll tell you the short answer up front, then I'll explain. The reason why it's yes and no is that, yes, if you are talented enough, you can get a professional basketball team to give you an opportunity. You can get a tryout, you can get signed to a contract, you can join the team, and you can officially say that you do play professional basketball overseas, or that you did play professional basketball overseas if you're talented enough. And listen, talent comes in many forms. Talent is not just if you can run and jump and dunk. Talent could be your IQ on a basketball court, that you just see the game in a way that most players don't see it. Talent could be the fact that you're 7 foot tall, because there ain't too many 7 feet tall people out there who can, walk and chew gum and play basketball really well. Just being 7 feet tall, even with no real skill, could get you a job overseas. Height is a talent in basketball, not in all of life necessarily, but in basketball, height is a talent. So with talent alone, yes, you could get an opportunity overseas. However, the reason I say yes and no is because talent alone will not keep you overseas. It will not keep you employed, and it will not give you a long career. So there, in 90 seconds, I just gave you the short answer to the question, just in case that's all you wanted. Now let me explain and give you the context for why I'm saying both. First of all, in the basketball world, you don't have to have played professional basketball or even know anything about pro basketball for that matter to understand that when somebody is talented at anything, it doesn't even have to be sports, but especially in sports, when someone is talented and they show that they have these natural abilities that can't be taught, that other people don't have, they just have these God-given gifts, you've seen it. People get opportunity just because of that. Maybe you've been that person who had the talent and you just got opportunity after opportunity simply because of your talent. Maybe combined, maybe you had some hard work that went with it. Maybe you had some skills that you developed from that talent that went with it, but it was the talent itself has gotten you opportunities, gotten people to pay attention to you, it's gotten people to notice you and know your name and spread your name and know about you. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're talented, you're talented. I mean, why not exploit it and use it for all you can get out of it? There's nothing wrong with utilizing your talent and getting something out of it. Actually, if you have talent, that's exactly what you should be doing. Harness that talent into some skill by working on your game. Don't just go off talent your whole life, because eventually you're gonna run into some people who have talent and skill and they're gonna beat you, but you get what I'm saying. So talent does get people opportunities, and if you have talent, and you probably need to have at least some talent if you're going to play professional basketball, because you're going to be competing against a bunch of people who do have talent. So hopefully you do have some level of talent to get in the game. So yes, talent can get you in the game. The reason why talent can't keep you in the game is because, as I've already said, and I've said it in many of my videos and a lot of the stuff that I put out over the years, books, courses, speaking gigs, TED Talks, everything, is just being talented alone will not keep you afloat at the professional level of anything. Now, at the amateur level, being talented can just catapult you above everybody. In the basketball world, how many players have you seen who were top ranked in their classes and maybe even got drafted into the NBA, and you could just see this player just has more talent than most of their peers? Now, does that mean they have no skill and they're just all talent and they never worked on their game? That's not what I'm saying. But they have a certain level of talent that got them ranked in high school, it got them a scholarship for college, got them drafted into the NBA, just because they had so much talent and everyone looked at them and said, man, this person has so much potential to be so great. And some of them actually become great. They actually fulfill that promise of all this talent that they have. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Derrick Rose, you name any all-star in the NBA damn near, many of them were top draft picks, right? They were drafted in the lottery. People said that this player had talent, and many of them who become all-stars, who become superstars, who become Hall of Famers, they fulfill their talent. And I mean, there are hundreds that you can name. Name any player that you love who's a superstar in the league. They're a player who fulfilled their talent. They came in the league with potential to be great, and then they actually became great. Now, on the other hand, how many players can you name who came in the league? Maybe they were top ranked in their class, one of the top ranked players in their high school class. Of course, they got a full scholarship to play D1 college ball. Maybe only stayed in college for a year or two, and then they came out, went into the NBA, were drafted in the lottery, and they did not fulfill their promise. They became what some people will call a bust. Maybe they became a bust because they got injured. Maybe it's because their body just wasn't holding up. But many other reasons why players become busts is that they just aren't able to harness their talent and turn it into something that actually works at the pro level. And I'm not going to diss any player by saying your name, but you can by saying it in the comment section, because I'm sure there are plenty you can think of. There are a few I'm thinking of right now, but again, I'm not going to diss them in this video because that's not the point. But when you have talent and you're not able to harness it and make it work and turn into something tangible at the professional level, there are two specific things most of the time that I find players are missing. And let's put injuries aside, because injuries are just bad luck. So if a player's just getting injured, or their foot's messing up, or their back is hurting, or their knees just go out on them and they're only 21 years old, but their knees don't work anymore, that usually doesn't happen to people. That's just bad luck that happened to an athlete, because that was the main thing they had going for them, was playing sports, right? I'm saying the two things are professionalism and discipline. And you could kind of put these two together, but I'm going to explain what I mean with both of them. Discipline is your willingness to show up every single day and do your job. And what I want you all to understand, especially those of you who have not played professional basketball yet, is that even though, as I said over and over again, I'm going to keep saying, being a professional basketball player is the best job you could ever have in your life. Listen, I am an entrepreneur. I've been a full-time entrepreneur since 2015, which is when I stopped playing basketball, period. I stopped playing basketball cold turkey in 2015. Haven't played a game since. And I've been a full-time entrepreneur since then. I've been an entrepreneur since 2010, but full-time since 2015. Being an entrepreneur is not a better job than being a professional basketball player. It's not. The main reason being, even though I loved the job of playing basketball and I love what I do now as an entrepreneur, I get excited. I have dreams about the stuff that I'm going to do in business. I wake up excited about what I'm going to do every day, even after basketball. So it's not that I don't like the work or that I don't enjoy it or I'm not excited about it. The thing is, the main difference between being a pro ball player and being an entrepreneur is that I work probably 500% more as an entrepreneur than I did as a basketball player. And I mean that literally. As a basketball player, your job is pretty much about 2 hours of work per day. That's about the time that it takes to go through a practice, and practice is usually not that long. And then there's the games. If you have a game, it's about 2 hours, and the game is usually not as much work as practice, honestly, if you think about it, depending on the team that you're playing on. And then you got the off days, and if you're traveling, we won't count the travel time in it. But that's pretty much it. You're only working for maybe on a hard day, if you go super duper hard one day, you're gonna work for about 4 hours a day, pretty much. That's it. Who do you know that is an adult that has a full-time job and they work 4 hours a day? I don't know anybody who works only 4 hours a day as a full-time job, except athletes. And maybe some business owners who have really, really put the structure and strategy right in their business to where, and systems to where they don't have to do too much. But other than that, most of the entrepreneurs I know, people who work jobs I know, nobody's working 4 hours a day or less. Basketball players, you working, it might only be a 90-minute day. Depending on the team you're on, practice might only be an hour. That's your whole day. That's your whole work day. You got the whole rest of the day, do whatever you want, but you're still getting paid a full-time salary. That's why it's the best job in the world. I'm saying all that to say this, even though it's so easy compared to the kind of jobs you could be doing. You could be the manager at Kentucky Fried Chicken. You could be an entrepreneur like I am, working 10, 12-hour days, because you basically make your own schedule and do what you want to do. When you're trying to build a business and push a business forward, you're gonna work as many hours as you possibly can. You could be a school teacher being underpaid, and we know teachers are underpaid. You could be I don't know, any other job, whatever job you had before, or whatever job you got now, whatever job your parents got, your brothers, your sisters, your uncles, your cousins got, you could be doing what they do. All right, none of them is working 4 hours a day. And even if they love their job, they got to give half of their waking life at least to that work to keep doing their job well. Even though you only work an hour a day, sometimes you don't feel like going to work. This is the thing about being a professional athlete. All right, you ever see or hear a story about a basketball player or a football player or a player in any sport just not working hard in practice, or they say the player just wasn't showing up on time, or they weren't doing what they were supposed to do? You hear these stories about players messing up some way when they're a professional athlete, or even college athletes who have full scholarships messing up in some way. And you're like, oh my God. And you hear people say, oh my God, how could you possibly mess that up? All you got to do is play ball. All you got to do is go to practice. All you got to do is go to track practice. All you got to do is play football. all you have to do is just this, and you got all these things laid out for you. You got all this talent and all this opportunity, and there's all these people out here in the world working so hard, and they got to grind, and they don't love their jobs, and they got to do all this stuff, and they got to struggle and strive. You got it all so easy, and you still mess it up somehow, some way. You ever hear people say that? Maybe you've been guilty of saying to yourself, hey, maybe you've been the player that people were talking about when they said all you had to do was this and this, and you messed it up. The reason why that happens is because when you're in it, as a professional athlete, when you're in the game playing ball overseas, you're not thinking about what, and not every moment, you're not thinking about the job that you could be working. You're not thinking about being an assistant manager at Target. You're not thinking about working the drive-thru at Taco Bell. You're not thinking about being in the waste management job. You're not thinking about driving Uber, because you're removed from that. All you're around is a bunch of basketball players. And if you're not maybe getting as much playing time as you thought you should, if you're not seeing eye to eye with the coach, maybe you're homesick and you want to see your kids, you haven't seen them in a while. Maybe the situation is just not what you thought it was going to be. Maybe the team is late paying you your money. Maybe you're injured and you can't play right now. Maybe you're just not liking the food where you're at. Maybe you don't like the housing situation, maybe the weather. Maybe you're from somewhere like Florida, like where I live right now, and you're somewhere in like Lithuania and you don't even see the sun for a month. You might get a little bit depressed and you don't quite feel like going to work. Even though, relatively speaking, this is a super duper easy job. There's no easier job in the world than being an athlete. But at the same time, it can be hard. And athletes are human. We're human just like everybody else, right? And some days we don't always feel like it. Sometimes we're not always driven. And I just gave you a bunch of reasons why you might not be so excited about your job, even though you got a better job than damn near everybody you know, right? And it's your willingness to show up anyway and give a full 100% effort, even though you may not always feel like it. That's a discipline of being a professional athlete. And those of you who are listening to me right now who, have never played at the professional level, I want you to understand that from the outside looking in, this sounds ridiculous. This sounds like what, Dre? Are you kidding me? Why would anybody ever just not want to go to work when all you got to do is play ball? Why would anybody feel depressed about their situation where all they're doing is playing basketball for 2 hours a day and they're getting paid a full-time salary? Are you kidding me? If that's all I had to do with my life, man, I'd be like this. And this is what people say, right? On the outside looking in. But again, when you get in it, you understand. And those of you who are watching this, some of you are going to go on to play pro ball. Somebody who's watching this has played pro. So please leave a comment and tell me that and co-sign what I'm saying here so people don't think that I'm crazy. But there are days you don't feel like working, even though you got this very easy job. And the professionalism part of it is, again, as I said, they go hand in hand. Professionalism means doing what you're supposed to do, sticking to your commitments, even though on that particular day you might not be so excited about it. Again, you're not feeling the coach. You're not feeling the fact that y'all lost the last game. The coach, you know you're the best player on the team, but the coach got you coming off the bench. You're from somewhere where the weather's nice and you get to see your kids and family every day. Now your family and kids are back in the States. You're in some country where the weather's terrible. It's raining every day. You don't like the place they got you staying in. You don't even got a nice view out the window, and it's cold, and you're wondering how long is this gonna go, and you're like, man. And then you think about the fact that everybody else back home is thinking that you're the one living the movie, right? I've been in this situation where I had to remind myself I wasn't feeling the situation. I didn't like the coach, maybe. I didn't like how the weather was in some places. I wasn't feeling one of my teammates. I didn't like how practice went. I was coming off the bench in the game, even though I'm the best player on the team. And I'm starting to feel bad about the situation. But then I had to remind myself, like, man, I'm in Europe playing basketball, getting paid. Who am I going to complain to? The only person I can complain to is maybe my agent or maybe some other guys who play overseas, but I can't complain to anybody back home. What are they doing? They working at grocery stores. They working at the mall. They trying to build their business. They got to take care of their kids. They're wondering how they going to pay these bills. And all I got to do is play basketball for 2 hours a day. I'm gonna talk about this whole concept in a separate video, probably moving forward. But the point is this: is talent enough to make it overseas? The answer, yes, you can make it overseas. You can get overseas if you're talented enough. But you will not stay overseas just off talent, because you're gonna have teammates who understand discipline, showing up every day doing the job, who understand professionalism. The fact that even though things are not looking right for you personally, your affiliation is always to the team. It's always about the success of the team, which means the success of the team means you need to be happy about the team being successful, even though you may not be doing so well personally. And even if the team is terrible, you still need to show up every day and work hard and be the example for everyone else, because as a professional, that's your job. And if your example seems to be trending downward, like if everyone was following your example, that would make the team worse, even if the team's already bad, you might find yourself unemployed. You might find yourself out of a job. So don't sleep and don't start thinking that it's sweet just because you got a job playing basketball overseas, because that opportunity that you got could go away just as quickly as it arrived if you don't have this discipline and professionalism already installed in you before you get over there. If you have an agent, I think your agent would tell you about this. If you're playing a team sport, so one of your teammates, maybe if you're a newer player, you're a rookie in the overseas game, will take you under their wing and let you know, like, yo, this is what you need to be doing. Like, you need to show up every single day. You need to be ready. You need to make sure you're getting sleep. You need to make sure you're eating right. Hopefully you have a teammate who can take you under their wing and tell you these things. If you don't, then take heed to what I'm saying right now so that you don't run into this problem. Because the last thing you want is to be the talented person who blew their opportunity, not because you couldn't play, but because you just didn't have you didn't have it mentally to do what you're supposed to do to bring that talent out of you every single day. And again, if you've ever had a job in your life, you know what it feels like to not feel like going to work. Okay, so even if you're playing basketball, there are days you don't want to go to work. Can you bring it anyway? That's the question. I got a book that I'll give you for free that talks about that. It's called The Mirror of Motivation. The subtitle, you see it right here, The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. This is the exact book that I would suggest any athlete, once you get a deal. Now this book right here, I've been telling you about, the Overseas Basketball Blueprint. This will help you get a deal to go overseas, know everything you need to know to play ball overseas. The book is free. All you do is pay a small shipping charge, go to balloverseas.com. Once you get the job and you know you're playing overseas, then you need to get this book for free. This one's free as well. You just pay the shipping at mirrorofmotivation.com. This is the self-guide to self-discipline. This is what you need to sustain your career. Now, you need this to start your career. You need this to keep your career. The discipline to keep showing up, working out. That's during the season. That's in the off season too. When you got a trainer, you got to stay in shape so you can get your next job. Even if you don't know when your next job is going to be, or if it's even going to be a next job, can you still be disciplined to keep showing up? You can get this one at mirrorofmotivation.com. The links to both of these books, the Overseas Basketball Blueprint, you get this at balloverseas.com. This one at mirrormotivation.com. Links to both are down in the video description. But if anybody has a question, comment, concern about anything I said in this video, go ahead and post it in the comment section. Y'all know that. Or anything overseas related that I have not yet addressed, go ahead and leave it in the comments and I'll address it if I haven't already. Make sure you check the playlist, which I think is over here. That'll show you all my pro/overseas basketball content that I've created up until this point. I've addressed a lot of topics that you might not know that I addressed, but go watch those videos. Make sure you're not asking me about something that I already addressed, because I'll tell you that's where it's at. Work on your game. Dre all day.